Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom. Welcome to day 212 of our BU 365-day challenge. This is a card I drew for today, and it's a little bit perfect for our final contribution. This is the last day we're going to talk about, for the most part, and focusing on for the month, contribution area and aspect of our life. Part of the life framework that involves contribution. And I was going to grab the list, but I'm not going to. Remember, we've got physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, contribution. We've covered 7 areas now as of today, and next month we're going to hop into confidence and talk about how does confidence in that area and aspect of our life, how can we use that to automatically make our life better, make becoming a better person, a better version of ourselves every day a little bit easier. And I love this card today because it says, I am willing to learn something new every day. And on the back it says, I cannot learn other people's lessons for them. That is a biggie. They must do the work themselves, and they will do it when they are ready. This has been a huge lesson that I've had to learn in my life so often, especially if you're a parent, or a good friend, or a sister, or a brother, or a son or a daughter. So often we want the people in our life to understand and know the things that we know once we've discovered them, right? But it doesn't happen. People decide things, choose things, learn things, open their eyes, realize things, think for themselves, make their own choices, create their own lives. We all have the ability to do it, but we have to first realize that we have the ability to do it. And that happens to each and every one of us at a different stage in our life, at a different age, at a different stage, when we're ready to understand and realize and take personal responsibility and personal power and do that. But everybody has to learn their own lessons. We can share. I learn a lot of lessons from other people about mistakes they've made that I will never make, because I learned they made it. I learned there and heard their story, and I decided, okay, well, I'm never going to make that mistake. I've also created and made a gazillion mistakes that I had to learn lessons from on my own. And I've learned that if I didn't learn the lesson the first time, that problem, a similar scenario, came back around in my life, and it kept happening and kept happening and kept happening until I finally learned the lesson of how I was looking at the situation, what mistakes I was making, where I was making choices for other people instead of myself. And that never works, right? We have to make the best decisions and do what we can with what we've got that feels good to us, that's best for us, no matter what the pressures and people and society and things outside of us say. Sometimes there are things that are right for us that aren't right for the friend group or our family or for the other people around us. And that's the lessons that we need to learn. And the lessons I need to learn here in my lifetime are different than the lessons you need to learn. They're different than the lessons my kids need to learn, which is super duper painful sometimes. And it's different than the lessons that my parents and my siblings and my grandchildren need to learn. And that's why I really love this card. I think it's a great final contribution lesson for today. So I want to do a quick review. I went back through my notes and all the different things we covered and topics in depth, and I'm like, that would take way too long to talk about. And I guess my question for you today is, would it be valuable for me to go through and do a review for each of the areas and aspects of our life framework that we've covered so far? So just a summary of physical, a summary of mental, a summary of emotional, a summary of financial, relationships, contribution, etc. Would that be of value? If it would, let me know, and I will do it. It would, I can go through my notes and do them one at a time, and then add them to the private Facebook group guide. If that would be valuable, let me know. Otherwise, I probably will not do it, because I have to find time in my schedule going forward to make that happen. But if that would be valuable, I would love to do it. So quickly, I'm just looking at my annual calendar. I created a content calendar this year. Never done that before, so it was kind of fun, because when I decided to do this challenge, I'm like, all right, well, so for 365 days, we need a topic every day. What am I going to talk about? And if you look ahead to the last few months of the year, I haven't done those yet, because I'm not sure what all we're going to cover. So October, November, December, I'm leaving it up in the air after we get through the life framework to decide, well, what of all this that we've covered so far do I want to go back and focus on to really hit home, and it would be really powerful to move forward and make doing something every day automatic. If I look for something to learn every day, if I open myself up to the possibility that I will see or realize or notice something every day, guess what I do? I use that when I used to go for walks at a area state park all the time. When I could still drive, I would drive to the state park every day, and then I would go for, you know, a 3 to 6 mile walk every day. And, you know, I knew every path, every trail at that particular state park. And so sometimes I'd go forward, sometimes I'd go backwards. Every day I would go on a different route and a different trail, but there weren't that many trails, so I ended up going on the same trails many, many times, right? I've been on them many times. That's how I know them by heart. I can still go out there and walk around and know the trails, although they added bike trails, and so I haven't been on those. That would not be safe for me. So in order to make my walks more interesting, I told myself before I started, I was going to see something beautiful and new every single day. So guess what? Every single day, every walk, would notice something new and beautiful every single day. Now, had it always been there? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes there's a big mushroom bloom, and there were mushrooms I'd never seen before because they only bloom once in a while. But other times, I walked by places and spaces over and over again and never noticed them before because I wasn't looking to notice them. But by programming my mind ahead of time that I was going to see something beautiful, my subconscious was looking for something for me to notice that was beautiful. And that's how our life works, and that's how we learn something new every day. We just say, I intend to learn something new every day. And so we're going to learn something from somebody or something, or we're going to notice something or put things together from our past that we've never noticed before, because the universe is here to support us and make our lives work. So what do we talk about this month with respect to contribution? We talked about the whole, what does contribution mean to us, that area and aspects of our life. We prioritized and looked at how does contribution fit into the other areas and aspects of our life. We talked about thoughts and beliefs around contribution, our core values with respect to contribution. We talked about topics like starting now. We talked about how much we all have to contribute because there's a big version of ourselves that's more than, that actually is comprised of all these different areas and aspects of our life, not just our physical being and, hey, I'm a mom or I'm a one thing. We're multifaceted human beings. We talked about and did a personal inventory. We talked about time is more valuable than money. Energy is also more valuable than money. We talked about fundraising and different resources. We talked about picking one area of contribution to focus on and soap up. And we ran through our SOAP framework with respect to the area and aspect of our life of contribution. So we used the journalistic framework to identify our current story and our desired story. We used the 10, 3, and 1 tool to come up with options of what could we do to start to fill the gap that's created between our current and our desired story. We used the urine analysis to analyze those options, pick one, and take action on it. When? Right away. Then we used, for the P in our SOAP framework, how do we know if we're making progress toward what we want or not? We use the results tool, where we're looking at a result and knowing if it's going toward what we want or away from what we want. Then we talked about making the world a better place, and do we do what we say we're going to do? We talked about, then from day 17 to today, I actually we used a card for a topic to talk about with respect to contribution. So we talked about freedom is my divine right. We talked about being the example and the power of that, and then we did the lifeline exercise and added contribution to that exercise. We talked about the present moment being our point of power, that everything is a choice and we have infinite possibilities. We talked about deliberate creation from the law of attraction, action versus reaction, which is really important, and about good decision-making tools. We talked about how to create heaven on earth, and that it's up to us, not anyone else. It's up to us each to create the life that we want. Talked about natural winners and who we surround ourselves with. We talked about that each and every one of us human beings deserve only good in our lives, and we attract that because we need lessons that we have to learn, right? We need to trust life to be glorious, awesome, and fun, and in our favor. We tell stories as we want our life to be. If we want to change our life, we have to think about how we want our life to be, not about the past or about how we haven't gotten what we want so far. We talked about how the area of contribution is connected to the other areas of the life framework. We talked about what's next, and we did a personal development plan for the contribution area of our life. Yesterday we talked about continuous improvement and how do we and how could we and how can we and how will we automate how we show up in the world, how we make the world a better place. And today we're just doing a quick summary, and we're talking about our final contribution. So for our action item today, I would love if you would think about this last month and just share one lesson that you've learned, one thing that you've learned, one thing that you want to learn about, one thing you want to work on with respect to the area of contribution of your life going forward. And I will do the same. I haven't thought about mine yet. I learned a lot of lessons this month. I've learned at least 31 different things this month with respect to the area of contribution. All right, have an awesome day. Any questions, hit me up. Let me know about, do you want a summary? Because I can do a better summary than that for each of the different areas and aspects of our life, and if that would be valuable. I suppose I could cover what we taught, the topic, the tool we used, or the framework, the different things that we've looked up and used and to define and identify things, or decision-making tools. How do we contribute to society? We did a lot of things like that this month. All right, have an awesome day. I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow. Bye. Into confidence.